Welcome to JMR Talks. Today we will discuss about John D. Rockefeller, the most famous American successful businessman of 20th century. John D. Rockefeller, when he was 16 years old, as on September 26, 1855, he was just what I call a bookkeeping clerk. But by 1916, he became the America's what I call most successful businessman man, and the world's first billionaire. Now, is it a case of what I call rags to what I call rich story, or it is a what I call a reality? Is it worth what I call learning some leadership lessons from the successful what I call businessman John D. Rockefeller? Now, how did all this what I call happen? For the first time, he was set up a company by name Clark and Rockefeller. So what they used to do, they were produce dealers to the what I call Union Army. After the what I call Civil War, they transitioned into what I call oil refining business. But what Rockefeller has done, that he tried to what I call avoid the wastage, and what I call he focused on oil, by the byproducts of oil. Like apart from kerosene, he produced what I call gasoline, tar, petroleum jelly, lubricating oil, etc. So he was saving what I call a lot of money, with the help of these what I call byproduct. Then subsequently, what I call he has set up a business with his brother William Rockefeller Jr., Henry Flagler, and Samuel Andrews. Now, this partnership, what I call business, becomes successful more because of John D. Rockefeller's business acumen and his what I call money making principles. In 1870, he has incorporated what I call Standard Oil, but the company was sued for violating Sherman's what I call antitrust. Then he went to what I call the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court the judges what I call ordered for dissolution. So the company was what I call dissolved into 34 what I call different what I call companies as such. But since John D. Rockefeller held stock in all the what I call 34 different companies, he became further richer and more what I call wealthier. For some, he may be a criminal. For others, he is a what I call philanthropic saint. But what made him what I call successful? I think it's worth what I call looking at. What are the 5 qualities for leadership success which we all could notice in what I call John D. Rockefeller? Number 1, persistent and having a strategy for what I call achieving goals. He was known for his what I call resilience. Once he set up a what I call goal, he never what I call went back in striving towards it. That means whatever is required to do to accomplish, he did it. As a child, when he started looking for a job, he faced what I call opposition and stiff resistance, because the companies thought that when they can hire an experienced worker, why to give a job to what I call a child? But his persistence and what I call perseverance ultimately landed him a job at Habit and what I call Turtle. So in case we wish to become as persistent as Rockefeller for achieving goals, what is that we can do? We have to be specific about what we want exactly. Number 2, we have to set goals in such a way they're not what I call easily obtained. Maybe we are required to what I call stretch little bit. The third, do we have what I call a strategy for what I call achieving them? Now, for instance, look at what I call Rockefeller. As a child, when he was looking for a job, every day morning he used to dress what I call nicely, and he used to what I call visit offices, and he was never what I call meekly seeking a job. He wanted to meet the top men and talk to them only. So this persistent work, tirelessly, 6 days a week, ultimately what I call landed him a job. Celebrate the victories. On September 26th, he got a job. And Rockefeller, celebrated September 26th as a job day till he died. So let us celebrate what I call the victories, so as what I call motivate us to go further. The second great quality in Rockefeller was have a why that drives passion. Being passionate and perseverant is fine, but why that passion? As a devout, religious man, Rockefeller always thought that God has given him the gift of making money to help the what I call less fortunate. During his life, he donated more than $500 million to various, educational, religious and scientific causes through his Rockefeller Foundation. What is that, some of us could do to find our passion and the purpose to fuel the business growth? The first and foremost important is that we must identify the cause which we are willing to make sacrifices for. Like, he thought that the, God's gift of making money must be used to help the less fortunate. Second, why we want a world-changing business. Once, Ratan Tata was asked that how come, he doesn't feature in Forbes, top 100 rich, etc., etc. He said there is a difference between being an industrialist and a businessman. He is an industrialist and he wishes to enrich the society. Look at the Tata Group, 150 years old, perceived as a custodian of public gold. 66% of Tata Sons company's equity is held by Tata Trust, and the dividends flowing from this Tata Trust, they go for charity. Third, look places to save money. Rockefeller know that they are using wooden balers for storing oil and for transporting. So he went for not horizontal but vertical integration. He acquired timber and started making wooden barrels for himself. So if you wish to cut costs, find answers in numbers. For Rockefeller, the ledger books are very sacred books, based on which you can take decision. Track waste, like the way he produced byproducts from oil, like kerosene, gasoline, etc. The fourth, the leadership lesson we can find from Rockefeller is master your feelings and emotions. People say his cool composure and quiet demeanor are two of the most important leadership qualities. He was always cool. So to develop this cool composure and quiet demeanor, what is that we can do? We should be generous in forgiveness. Once what happened, one of the executive, this Standard Oil company, he committed a mistake, and the company got a huge loss. So the next day, many of the executives, in fear, they have cancelled their meetings with the president. But one employee didn't do it. And when he went to meet Rockefeller, he was holding a piece of paper. On the top of it, points in favor of. He was trying to record the decisions by the executive which benefited the company. I think this is an exercise in emotional control. I was told that this Kumar Mangalam Birla also did the same thing. Once, when there was a lot of hue and cry about taking action against a general manager whose mistake costed a huge fortune to the company. So when he made a balance sheet of the benefits accrued to the company by his decisions and the losses incurred, he found that benefits are more. So that's why he didn't take any action. Second, hold your cards close. Be a good listener. You become a voice around the table, not by the voice itself. The fifth leadership lesson we could pick up from Rockefeller is stay humble despite your success. He was leading with humility. Every day it seems he used to go around talking to the employees, asking questions, noting down the answers, his notepad and all that. Why he was doing all this? With an intention to improve. So that's the reason people used to call him the sponge. That means he was willing to absorb. No, he didn't feel that he knew all the answers. He was willing to learn and improve. So if we wish to be humble like Rockefeller, what is it we can do? Practice gratitude. Get involved in the community. Do something to the people around. And most importantly, find some time to retrospectively think about your success. The Rockefeller used to think sometimes, suppose if tomorrow all this what I call wealth goes, tomorrow if I what I call incur into losses and all that. So when you start what I call thinking like that, you start what I call developing detachment in what I call attachment. And what more? The beauty is Rockefeller sharpened his natural people skills into what I call leadership qualities. And these qualities made him the what I call most famous and 20th century's successful what I call businessman. We keep talking about legacy. What is the legacy what I call we leave behind? And his legacy, especially what I call his philanthropy endeavors, surpassed his death in 1937. In fact, there is a story. Now I can't check the authenticity of what I call the story as such. When he was 53 years old, he had some disease, which was incurable or something of that. Then slowly, what I call he started thinking, what's the fun of having so much wealth? What is the fun of I'm making so much money and all that? Why not I use this money, for what I call holistic purposes like what I call scientific, religious, philanthropic activities and all that. That's how I think Rockefeller Foundation, etc., etc. And people say in the said story that that's how when he started giving, sharing his wealth and all that, I think he ultimately got cured and he died at the age of what I call 93. So this, when I heard about this story, I remind recollected the famous saying of our former president Abdul Kalam sir. He says, when your intention is genuine, nature continues to make it happen. And a company's balance sheet may be finalized on what called 31st March. But the Almighty balance sheet is 24/7, 365 days. When we are doing something good, the good what called comes back to us. Look at the Rockefeller Institute of what called medical research. They produced 26 Nobel Prize winners. So in conclusion, I only would like to say, for some he may be a criminal, for others he may be a what called philanthropic saint. But the leadership lessons, as we discussed, definitely will help any promising entrepreneur to become what called successful. Thank you.